Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our product webinar series of Prospecta. Today, we are presenting a webinar on MDO for spares with our speakers, Deepak Chaudhary and Sandeep S. from the Center of Excellence team. Spare part management is a critical function for business across industries. Today, we are here to explore how MDO for spares can address some of the most common challenges, particularly around taxonomy and nomenclature inconsistencies, which often lead to inefficiencies in inventory management. Let me briefly introduce you to the speakers for the day. We have with us Deepak Chaudhary. He is a seasoned master data professional with over 17 years of experience in master data management, asset performance management, and plant maintenance. Currently, Deepak serves as a solution architect at Prospecta, offering valuable insights from our asset-intensive industries. We also have with us Sandeep S. Sandeep is a part of our Center of Excellence team at Prospecta. With 7 years of experience at Prospecta, he currently works as a senior consultant in the pre-sales team, helping potential customers understand how MDO can solve their master data challenges. Both our experts here are seasoned pre-sales consultants, and they have been guiding all our potential customers and partners in helping them understand how MDO can be beneficial to their journey. So I'm looking forward to hearing from our experts over here. We have an exciting agenda ahead, including a live demonstration of MDO for spares. Please feel free to drop in your questions in the Q&A box as we proceed, and we'll address them during the Q&A session at the end. We will not be able to take your questions in between, and hence your mics would have been disabled. But do make sure that you're putting in your questions in the chat box. Now let's dive in directly. Over to you, Deepak and Sandeep, to take us through the challenges and our solutions in spare parts management. All the best to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Piyu. Thanks for that introduction. So how we have structured today's session is that I'll be taking you all through a presentation wherein we'll be discussing about the spare parts and how MDO helps in the spare part management. And then subsequently, I will have my colleague Sandeep to walk you through the system and actually show you a live demo on different features and functionalities that our MDO solution has. Right? Okay, so welcome everyone. As Piyu mentioned, my name is Deepak Chaudhary. I'll just quickly give you a brief introduction of mine, although Piyu have already covered. But my name is Deepak Chaudhary, and I'm part of the COE team within Prospecta, and I have total 17 plus years of experience, and around 10 plus years I have been closely working in the master data domain. Right, so the topic for today is unlocking power of MDO for spare parts. So today we'll be focusing mainly on the spare parts. What are the challenges that typically the organization faces during the spare part management, and how a standardized taxonomy can help in managing all those spare parts effectively. And then subsequently, during the second part of my presentation, I will take you through our MDO solution, wherein I'll briefly explain about different features and functionalities of MDO, how we approach a particular spare part management solution through MDO. And then in the end, we'll have a live demo of the system itself, right? So this is the agenda for today. So as I mentioned, we'll cover these 10 points broadly. So we'll have discussion on the spare part challenges, what is the taxonomy, what are the taxonomy standards that we have, what is the impact of the inconsistent taxonomy, how MDO will help us in basically managing all the spare part management through a standardized platform. And then we'll also discuss around different governance models that we have within MDO. And in the end, I'll try to showcase a case study, a live case study, wherein we have implemented a full-fledged MDO governance solution for a Fortune 500 company, and what all solutions we have provided. And then in the end, we'll have a demo session. So let's start. So first thing is the challenges that the organizations are facing around the spare parts, right? So let me just put in the pointer on. Yeah. So the first thing is the issue that the organization are facing is around the ownership of the data. So if you talk about spare parts or material master, you will see that there are a lot of different stakeholders for a particular spare part. So a spare part will not only have not only being utilized or used by the maintenance team, but it is also used by the sales or the procurement or the finance people as well. So there are a lot of different owners or stakeholders for a particular spare part, but the challenges that the organization are facing is that there is no proper ownership. I mean, every organization doesn't have a dedicated MDM team who basically takes the ownership and do the uh, spare part management for their inventory. So that's the predominantly the major challenge that the industry is facing. And apart from that, if your spare part data is not proper and you have like long-term contracts for those spare parts, right? So then in that case, if you do any changes in your spare part, then obviously those changes will not get reflected in your those long-term contracts. So these are also some of the challenges because of which it is very important to have the standardized and cleansed master data, right? And then the major challenge, or I would say the major issues that we are also encountering during our pieces discussions are the data quality of the spare parts is not up to the mark. So they are not following any standard taxonomy. They don't have a defined data dictionary. So it is a very unstandardized way how the organizations are maintaining the data and how they are creating the new master data. So there are no proper standardized taxonomy in place, because of which the quality of the data that they are creating in the system is very bad, and that leads to a lot of issues in the subsequent processes. So this is also one of the major challenges that the organization or the procurement teams typically in any manufacturing setup is facing, right? And then because of the bad quality of data, obviously you will not have a proper visibility of your MRO data. So you cannot do your spend analytics, your consumption analytics, and all of that. That is very difficult to do if you don't have a structured data, if you don't have a proper taxonomy or classification or categorization in place. It's very difficult to do that, those sort of spend or consumption analytics. So that's where the organization are losing there are a lot of opportunity losses, and there are a lot of opportunity monetary losses that the organization are facing because of unstructured data. Right. And also, I mean, during the transformation project, so if you look at the current data world, the main buzz is that we have to migrate it to the S4 system, right? So that's the major work that each organization is focusing on, right? So unless you have the cleansed data, it doesn't make sense to transform it and send it back to the S4 system, right? So there is also a need of cleansed and standardized data for your transformation projects as well. And then when it comes to the new master data creation, we have seen, and during our discussion, it has come up to our attention that many of the organizations are not basically following a proper governance process. They don't have a proper governance solution for creating their new master data. So majorly it is in Excels, or it is in some siloed system that they are following, and that leads to lot of opportunity losses. The cycle time increases, and also the quality doesn't come up, right? So the major issue that the organization are facing here is that they don't have a proper solution or a product to manage all of their new master data creation as well, right? So and OEM data availability, right? So there are cases wherein you will have a lot of OEM data in place. You will have a lot of OEM spare parts in your inventory, right? So one of the business case that I would like to mention, which we are doing currently for one of the biggest FMCG companies, that we are standardizing and transforming their spare part data. So the challenge that they are facing currently is that they have a lot of OEM data. So when it comes to OEM data, the only option for an organization to procure that particular spare part is through OEM, right? So they don't have any other option. So they loses the bargaining power to purchase that particular product. So whatever price the OEM is quoting, they need to procure it in that price. So that leads to a lot of additional cost or a burden for our organization, right? So it makes more sense to have those data cleansed and transformed and identify the true part numbers of those parts, so that you will have the bargaining power. You can go to other suppliers based on the specification, based on the classification. You can go to other alternate suppliers and vendors, and you can procure that part in much cheaper price. Right. So this is also one of the major challenge, and organizations are spending a lot of money to clean up all of their data and to identify the true OEM for the parts, true OPM for the parts. And last but not the least is the duplicate. I mean, this is one of the common issues that you'll face in any procurement or inventory data, that you will have a lot of duplicates in the system. That the only reason for this is they are not managing. You are not doing all of this. That's the reason you have a lot of duplicates in the system. And I don't need to emphasize on the after effects of these duplicate materials. It will ultimately add up to your inventory. It will increase your holding inventory holding cost, and ultimately you are searching for certain parts which is already lying in your warehouse with some other location or with some other description or with some other code, right? So that's where the visibility is missing, and the organization doesn't have the proper duplicates identified, and they don't have a set of what we call it a golden records in their system. Right. So these are the typical challenges that the organization are facing when it comes to spare parts. Now I'll move on to the next slide. So now we'll discuss about the taxonomy, what is taxonomy, and what role it plays in the data management for the master data, right? If you would have noticed in the historically during the industrialization phase, the procurement or the commerce was very localized affair. I mean, there will be limited suppliers and buyers, and everybody will know each other. So it doesn't make sense at that time to spend time and money on classifying the parts or categorizing the parts, right? But during the post-industrialization phase, you will it's an open market. It's a marketplace, right? So you need to there will be a lot of suppliers and there will be a lot of buyers that are available in the market, and you need to get the bargain power to procure a particular part in a cheaper on a cheaper price, right? So it's very evident that you need to have a proper classification or categorization of your data. So you need to have a taxonomy in place, so that you can able to either buy or sell your products in the open market, right? So that's the reason why the taxonomy is playing very vital role in today's master data management when it comes to spare parts. So what is a taxonomy? So taxonomy is basically a systematic classification of your spare parts based on the characteristics and the attributes, right? So typically we classify the parts based on these four criterias that are mentioned here. So we can classify the part based on the application. So what do we mean by application? Is the usage of product in relation to the application. So I'll give you specific examples of each of these categorization, each of these criteria in my subsequent slides as well. But predominantly across the industries, these are the four criterias that are applicable for classification of the spare parts. One is the application, then the construction. So what is the make and build of the product? Then the material, what is the material composition of the product? And then the type. So it's basically the method or the technique of the product. So these are the four criteria based on which you can define your classification strategy based on the data availability. And if I need to show you a few examples, so here you can see this is one of the example for gasket, which is the most commonly used spare part or consumable across the industry, right? So here you can see this has come from the PIDEX standard taxonomy. So PIDEX is basically is one of the industry standard for basic mainly for the petrochemical and oil and gas industries. So if you see here, these are the different taxonomy classes that are listed here based on different criterias. So the first five you can see here is based on the construction. So whether the gasket is jacketed or flanged or spiral bound. So these are few examples of the construction based classification that you can do. And then when it comes to material based classification, so you can either have, let's say, a metallic or non-metallic gasket, right? And then you will have the application based classification. So let's say a particular gasket is being used in different equipments, right? So it can be used in an exchanger, it can be used in a filter, it can be used in a gauge, right? So based on the application also you can define or classify your a product, right? So these are the application based classes. And the last two are the type based classes. So you can have like different type of gasket, like ring gasket or ceiling gasket and so on. So these are predominantly the four major criterias based on which you can classify your product. Now, let's say if you have all of this information in the data, right? So you will ask a question that which one I need to prioritize. So typically, the best practice, what we recommend is, or what the industry recommend is that you need to classify the data based on the application if you have that information available in your data. So you need to give the priority to the application, then followed by the construction material and type, right? And in case if you don't have any of such information, then we need to see what line of business the manufacturer is in, and then based on that we can do the classification. So this is one of the example of the different categories of classification. Now moving on. These are the different taxonomy classification standards that we have. I've not explained each one of them in detail because then the slides will be big. But I've just named a few standards here which normally industries are using. So you can see here the MESC standard. This is predominantly the Shell standard, which Shell follows for their material and equipment standard coding. And then the UNSPSA, this is the most widely used classification standard, which is the United Nations Standard Product and Services. So this is the standard that we use to classify the product and the services. And this is just a representation of how the UNSPSC classification has been done. So it's basically a four-layered classification coding structure. So we'll have on the top is the segment, family, class, and commodity. So this is the 8-digit character coding that has been defined for the UNSPSC. Similarly, I mean, for other standard also, either you will have 8 or you will have 2. So based on the requirement, you will have the hierarchy defined. And then once you have this UNSPSC codification defined, and then you can further classify the parts based on the noun and the modifier, like I have explained in the previous slide, the gasket example. So you can define what is the noun and the modifier, and then these subsequent attributes. So these non-modifier attributes are nothing but your taxonomy. And based on this, you are basically assigning what is the UNSPSC code for a particular part. And apart from that, you will have other standards as well, like ECMA, PIDEX. I already explained that it is more around the petrochemical and the oil and gas industries. And then you will have E-class. E-TIM is basically for the electrical and electronic parts. And then the CFOS, which is the construction industry digital data exchange. So this taxonomy standard is mainly for the EPC data exchange. So let's say you are building a greenfield setup and you want your EPC to provide you all of the master data in a specified standardized taxonomy format, then you can use the CFOS standard to get all of that data and then ultimately transfer it back to your ERP system. So these are the taxonomy classification standards. Moving on, this slide talks about the impact of inconsistent taxonomy and nomenclature. So now that we understood what is a taxonomy, what are the different categories, criterias, and what are the different standards that we have. So in absence of this consistent and good quality taxonomy, you will have a lot of issues in your data. So one thing is the data quality issues. So obviously, if you don't have a proper taxonomy in place, then you will have all those duplicates, those errors, those inaccurate data in the system, which will make you basically lose the trust on your data, right? So you'll have a lot of data quality issues. And apart from that, if you don't have an accurate data because you don't have a proper taxonomy in place, then obviously your procurement processes, your inventory management and your maintenance processes will be very inefficient because you will not be able to find the correct part and you will not be able to identify what parts are there in the stock, what are not there in the stock. So all the process will become very inefficient. Obviously, you will have a lot of reporting challenges as well because you will not have proper categorization or classification of those parts. And when it comes to decision making, also you will have a lot of issues if you don't have a structured master data. So you will not be able to make strategic decisions for your inventory levels, for your maintenance and all of that. So this will ultimately lead to an increase in the maintenance cost as well as a lot of stock out conditions can arise for the critical parts. Right. So this decision making is also something which will be affected if you don't have a standardized data. And obviously, I mean, if user is not able to find the correct part in the system, he will have to spend like half an hour just to find a simple gasket. Then it will create a lot of confusion in his mind, and he'll be very prone to make mistakes, right? So and when it comes to like certain organization wherein you have a lot of where you need to take care of a lot of compliances, like for example, pharma or FMCG companies, right? So there, if you don't have a proper taxonomy or master data in place, then you may end up in a lot of regulatory issues as well. So we all know that, I mean, across the globe, how difficult it is to manage those regulatory checks, right? So you will have a lot of compliance issues as well. And let's say you have like different systems with different taxonomies and different data structures. And then ultimately, if you want to integrate those two systems, right? So let's say you have a merger and acquisition and you acquired some other company, and then that company is following different structure, you are following different structure. And within your organization also, let's say for procurement, you are using a different system. For your maintenance, day-to-day maintenance, you're using different system, and each of those system will have different taxonomies in place. So you will have a lot of integration issues if you want to do a common analytics or dashboarding out of those data points, right? So this will have impact on your integrations as well. And ultimately, all of this will lead to a customer dissatisfaction as well, right? So establishing a clear and consistent taxonomy is crucial for effective data management, operational efficiency, and the strategic decision making. And yeah, I mean, this particular slide is very much self-explanatory. I mean, you can see why you need a taxonomy, right? So the first two columns you can see are the legacy data. So you can see how unstructured it is. The same technical information is spread across, and it is all haywire in your legacy descriptions, right? So, and when you have a proper taxonomy in place, when you have a standardized description generation in place, then you can have all the parts properly classified, all the technical attributes listed in a proper sequence, and you can see all of the transformed data, how clean and how standardized it looks, right? So this is why you need a standardized taxonomy so that you can have these sort of transformed and cleansed descriptions out of your data. So now we will discuss about MDO. So MDO is basically our flagship product. So it's a data intelligent platform right? So it's a full-fledged MDM solution. So this is a high-level architectural view of our MDO solution. So what it does is basically it can integrate to any of the data sources that you have. Let's say you have a SAP or any other ERP system, you have any other siloed system or any other legacy system, even from the Excel. So it can extract all of your master data from any of the source system, and then it will have these two facets within the data intelligence platform. So we'll have a data quality management, and then it also has a master data management. So what happens in data quality management is that as soon as you extract all of the data from the ERP or any other legacy system, you can basically do the complete data profiling of your legacy data. So you can do the scoring, you can do the monitoring, you can prepare the data quality matrices, you can calculate the data quality scores. So you can basically have a view of how good or bad your data is currently, right? And it will not only give you a view of how good or bad it is, but it will also give you an option to do the data transformation as well as the data remediation within the solution or within the platform. So you will have an option to do a data transformation. As I discussed previously, we are working on, or a lot of organization is working towards their S4 journey. So obviously you will have a lot of data to be migrated from either your ECC or any other legacy system. So you can do, you can utilize MDO to do all of those data migration, data correction, data remediation, data cleansing, data enrichment. So all of that cleanup exercise can be done through our data quality management framework. And then once you have a proper data, once you have all the data cleaned up and good to go in your target system, then obviously you will want your data to be clean going forward as well, right? So that's where our governance piece comes in, wherein you can implement a full-fledged governance solution with all the standard business rules and standard logic that you have based on your business processes, and you can implement the full-fledged governance solution. So all of your new master data will be created in exactly the same way how you have cleansed your legacy data, whatever business rules, whatever checks you have applied in cleansing or cleaning up your data, all of those checks will get carry forward to your governance system as well. I will show you a case study also in the end wherein we have done this sort of a implementation for one of the major clients. Right, so this is the so this particular is the data quality framework, and this is the master data governance framework that we have. And obviously the standard data models, the business rules, the industry standard taxonomy and classification will drive all of that. And once you have all your legacy data cleansed and all your governance rules and governance setup done, then all of your cleansed data can be migrated to your target system, and all the new master data which gets created in MDO, that can also be pushed to your target either ERP system or any other CRM system. Or let's say if you want to do some sort of analytics or dashboarding out of it, then that also you can do it either in some external system, or you can do it within the MDO solution as well. Right. So this is the high level architecture of our MDO platform. And this particular slide talks about the MDO spares for SAP. So we are a SAP endorsed app. So we have a close partnership with SAP. And because of that, all the standard SAP data models comes out of the box in MDO. So you don't have to do the complete configuration from the scratch. So all of that is part of our industry solution, and it is kind of a pre-built in MDO. So all the data models are pre-built. Just the customization that you need to do based on your business processes, those only needs to be done. Rest all standard setup is already available out of the box in MDO. So that's why you can see here all the core data, whether it is related to header data or classification data or any other plant or org data or any other sales, or do you have like different views in SAP, right? So all of those are already pre-configured in MDO. And apart from that, your spare part data will obviously be linked to a lot of other related data sets as well. For example, your purchase info records, your source lists, your bill of materials, and so on, right? So once you create the spare part, you can build the business rule that, okay, once I create my spare part, I want to update my info record, I want to update my bill of material, I want to update my sources, right? So all of that integration can happen seamlessly within our MDO solution, right? So we are pre-configured for SAP, what we call it, right? And these are the basically the four components which we discuss that is there as part of MDO. So we have a governance framework, we have a connect hub. So this connect hub is basically our internal MDO marketplace or a library, right? So there you will find a rich spare part library. So we are currently in process of building a comprehensive or exhaustive repository. Currently, we have around 1 million spare part data in our library. And it's not only the spare part data, you can also find the standard taxonomy repository as well. So all your data dictionary. So when it comes to, let's say, spare part, we do have standardized taxonomy repository of more than 5,000 classes at present, right? So this is a very rich repository or a library that we have. And apart from that, we do maintain, as I mentioned, that we are pre-configured for SAP. So we are also building internally a lot of industry solutions. So let's say we have a standard industry solution for spare parts. So if you import that standard industry solution from a connector library, then all the standard, all the pre-configured business rules, flows, data sets, all of that will be imported in the system, and you can start using the system from the day one. So that's why we are also building our industry solution as well, and that will also be part of the connector repository. And apart from that, we do have a niche service line as well. So what we call it as CAS, which is cataloging as a service. So basically these CAS resources, obviously, if you have a very big organization, and even though you have MDO or any other MDM solution, but you need people to do all of that, to manage all of that, right? So our cataloging as a service resource will act as an extended arm to your MDM team, and they can be your cataloging partner. So they can assist you in cataloging all of your new master data, right? So this is one of the service arm that we have, wherein we can assist you for cataloging new master data, or if you want to have your legacy data clean up, then we can do that as well. If you want to manage your taxonomy, do the proper maintenance of your taxonomy throughout the spare part life cycle, then we can do that as well, right? And then in the end is our intelligent schema. So I explained you about the DIW, or the data quality management framework, wherein you can build those business rules and schemas in the system, and based on that, you can measure the quality of your data, right? So these are the four major components that our MDO has. And this is the overall approach that we follow. So here you can see the first one is the data intelligence workbench. So this is the DIW framework which I talk about. This comes under the data quality management section of a platform. So what it does is, let's say if you want to prioritize certain materials for cleansing or enrichment, right? But you don't know, I mean, if it's a very big organization, you will have like millions of spare parts in your system, right? And you don't want to do the cleansing or spend a lot of money to clean up all of your data, which are not required also. So what you can do is you can do some sort of a initial filtering. You can build those business rules within our MDO solution. Let's say the spare parts which are not used for last 3 years, or which are not consumed for last 3 years, which are not attached to any of the bill of materials, right? So all of those business rules you can build within the DIW framework, and you can get the list of priority or high impact items. And then you can apply the standard taxonomy that we have. So we are aligned to the ISO 8000 standard as well when it comes to data quality. So all of the taxonomy, as I explained, is also being maintained in the MDO system. So you will have the list of priority materials, you will have the taxonomy in place, so you can do the cleanup and enrichment of your data. This is what we call it as a passive governance as well. So you can clean up all of your legacy data based on the defined business rules that you want to have. And then ultimately, once all of your data is clean up, you want to keep the data clean as well, right? So you need to have an active governance wherein all the new master data will also get created in a standardized format, right? So this is the high level approach that we follow. Now it may happen that certain organization already have a clean data and they just want to subscribe to the governance piece of it, then you can do that as well. But holistically, we offer all of these solutions, and you can pick and choose based on your requirement. Now, this particular slide talks about the various governance models that we have. So as I mentioned, we have passive governance and active governance. So when it comes to active governance, we have bifurcated into gated and non-gated. So I'll explain you that as well. So what is passive governance? So in passive governance, what happens is data is created in the source system. So whatever data you have in the source system, you create in the source system, and then the data is pushed to MDO for cleansing. So then the data will come back to MDO, and then you can identify what are the gaps in your data. You can run this validation engine, the validation business rules. You can create those business rules and engage the quality of your data. And then ultimately you can also remediate or correct the data within the MDO. So within the MDO framework, you can identify the data discrepancies and you can also correct the data. And once the data is corrected, you can send it back to the source system, and all the trustworthy data will then be available for the consumption of the end users, right? So that's the passive governance part of it, wherein which majorly deals with your legacy data. And when it comes to the active governance, there are two approaches. One is gated, one is non-gated. So what do we mean by gated is that all of your data will get created in MDO, right? And then all the business rules or the checks that you want to apply for that new master data creation, that will also happen in MDO. And then ultimately all the enrichment and workflows and approvals will also happen in MDO. And once the data is created with proper business rules, with proper workflows, and it get approved by everyone in the workflow, then ultimately it get pushed in your target system. So that's the standard gated approach, wherein all of your master data gets created, validated, approved within the MDO solution, and then ultimately it gets transferred to your target system. And when it comes to non-gated, we have observed certain cases wherein there is already a system in place where you are creating the new master data, but you don't have this rule engine or the validation engine to check the quality of your data and to ensure that the data is being correctly maintained, right? So that's where also you can use our MDO solution. You can create your master data in your siloed system, but we can push all of that data to MDO, run this validation engine, do the workflows and approval within MDO, and then ultimately push back that cleansed data to your source system. So that's what we call it as a non-gated. So these are the three governance model on a high level that we have within MDO. So based on the requirement, you can pick and choose and use the solution. And these are the advantages that you will get. I mean, when you have a proper governance in place, obviously you will have a unique record for each of the spare parts. So you can build the deduplication rule within the system, and it will not allow any user to create any master data if you have the duplicates in the system. So you can build all of those checks within the system, and it will ensure that all the unique data only will get created. and all of that data will be standardized and enriched. It will be as per the standard classification taxonomy, and it will also integrate to the other connecting systems like your procurement and maintenance systems, and the ongoing maintenance of your classification data. So the taxonomy is also something which keeps on either changing, or you need to many a times add a lot of new classes as well, right? So all of those taxonomy management, maintenance, or classification maintenance, you can do it within the MDO solution, and you can start using the updated taxonomy from day one, right? So there is no additional activity that you need to do in order to change or create or update your classification data. So these are some of the benefits, the generic benefits that you get out of the MDO governance solution. So now I'll just explain few high level features and capabilities that we have. I think some of it I already covered, but I'll just quickly run through this. So as I explained, you can have a data quality matrix within our data quality management framework. So you can build these type of intuitive dashboards. You can build these sort of business rules, and out of that you can build these dashboards to monitor the health of your data, right? And as I mentioned, I mean, you can also do some sort of a DHA or a data health assessment on your data, and you can identify what are my priority materials which I want to focus on, and which I want to have it cleansed and enriched in the system. So this is on the data quality metrics, and then obviously it's not only about identifying the gaps, but you can also transform and remediate all of the data. So you will have option in MDO, and I think Sandeep will also show in the during the demo that how you can fix the data, how you can basically collaborate internally, run a workflow, and then fix all of your data. Right? You can also add a governance layer while fixing the data, and there is also an option to mass process or mass remediate the data, right? So all of those functionalities are available in MDO. And then the business rule, right? So these are some of the business rule framework that you can see here. But on a high level, I mean, you can build any sort of a business rule. The standard business rule are already available out of the box in MDO. But in case you do have certain customized business rule based on your industry domain or based on your business processes, then you can build those customized business rules, and either use it for your data quality metrics, or if you want to use it for your governance processes, then you can do that as well. And then we have a BPM and standard workflow structure also within the MDO solution. So you can create these sort of standard workflows or as complex workflows as possible for your approval process, in order to have a proper governance on the data, right? So all the key stakeholders who are basically sorry, the owner of the data, right? They can review that particular component of the data, and give approval on that. So you can have all the stakeholders defined in the workflow, and then accordingly the new master data creation will flow based on that workflow. And as I mentioned, for the governance processes and for the cleansing activity, we have a description generator built in within the MDO solution. So this is one of the key feature of the solution, wherein you don't need to type in the descriptions manually. So it is all auto generated. So we don't encourage, or we don't recommend clients to have any sort of a manual a description generation. So in MDO, you can have the taxonomy based description generation, or if you want to build any customized logic, you want to use one or two fields to build in your description generation, then you can do all of that through our description generator functionality. And as I mentioned, I mean, the taxonomy maintenance. So basically it provides a framework to basically build all of these standard taxonomy that we have, right? For example, if you want to have a Unispecie based taxonomy built in the system, you can do that. If you want to have a CFOS base, you can do that. So it's a framework, and you can use any standard and create your taxonomy within the system. And ultimately, that taxonomy will be used for creating your new master data, for updating your existing data, and also we have we support a multilingual capability, right? So all of your taxonomy data will be maintained or can be maintained in multiple languages. So we are already doing a lot of projects wherein we are catering to more than 20 languages through our MDO solution. So so you can maintain the same master data in different languages as well. So that is also something that MDO supports, and that is an edge on the traditional taxonomy structure. And then the Connect Hub, as I mentioned, it's a centralized marketplace within MDO. So you can access, explore, or import pre-built industry standards or IS solution, what we call it, and you can start using it. So this is a snippet of the our Connect Hub library. And as I mentioned, we are also building a spare part repository and in the future, we'll also have some sort of auto enrichment functionality as well. If we build a proper spare part repository, then we can use that repository to basically auto enrich the parts. Right. And then in the end, we also have a seamless integration layer. So MDO can, as I mentioned, I mean, when it comes to SAP, we are a endorsed app, so we have a seamless connectivity with SAP through BTP. But apart from that, also it can connect to any other ERP system seamlessly. And you can basically either pull or push your data back to your target system or from your target system through our MDO integration layer. So these are the a few key features and capabilities. And now in the end, I mean, I would like to demonstrate, or I would like to just showcase one of the business case that we are doing currently or we have done for one of the largest metal and mining company. So what they were doing is they have embarked their journey for S4 transformation. And what their plan was that once they have all of their legacy system migrated to S4, they want all of the data, all of the legacy data to be cleaned. And they also want a proper system or solution in place for their new master data creation. So they also want a full-fledged governance solution. So that's where we have implemented an end-to-end MDO governance solution. So since they are a global company, so they have like multiple sites or regions across the globe. So we provided a central platform to manage all of that data. And we also provided services on cleansing and standardizing all of their legacy data, which they had in the system. And as I mentioned, I mean, we support multi languages as well. So they are also across different geographies. So we have implemented more than 5 languages as of now for their complete master data. So all of their master data is now in MDO. So all the 5 sites master data is in MDO. And all of those sites are following the same structure, same business rules, same workflows, and it is kind of a centralized system now. So they have removed all the creation access through SAP for their new master data creation, and all of that is happening through MDO, right? And what the approach that we followed is that, as I mentioned, that we have done the cleansing enrichment of the legacy data also, and we have also implemented a governance solution. So now when it comes to the cleansing part, so it's a very tedious exercise. So it's not that it can be implemented in a month or so, right? So since this was a very big metal and mining company, so they had around 400K plus material master records, which they want to migrate it to S4, right? So cleansing all of those 400K records will take some considerable amount of time, right? So that's why we have designed a solution in a way that the governance process will start as soon as they go live with the system. Their governance process will start. So this is the client SAP system, and this is our production tenant. So you can see all of those creation, change, extension, deletion, everything is happening in MDO. And in parallel, we are also cleansing the data within the system, and it goes through a workflow approval process. And once the users are approving the records in MDO, the records get automatically integrated to their target S4 system as well, right? So this is the methodology that we followed, wherein you can implement a full-fledged governance process for your organization, and also in parallel you can perform the cleansing and enrichment exercise, so that all of your legacy data will also be going forward clean in the system. Right. So what they got is a standardized material creation mechanism, and we also had the change, extend, and deletion processes. We also have mass processes available in MDO, so they can create materials in mass, they can extend in mass, they can change in mass, and all of that. And we also provided them the reporting mechanism to basically check the status of their data quality, as well as for their internal SLAs, right? So what happens is that they will have a lot of enhanced procurement practices, and they are now better off for their inventory management as well, right? So that's the one of the business case which I wanted to showcase for all of you. And yeah, I mean, without wasting any further time, maybe I will hand over to you, Sandeep, if you can just demonstrate the tool and explain all the features and functionalities to our audience.
Yeah. Thanks, Deepak.
Sure. I'll stop sharing my screen, and then you can share it.
Sure. Thanks, Deepak. Welcome, Sandeep. Also, just to remind our audience that the Q&A chat is open. We already have a few questions there as well. So if you have anything that you want to ask our experts, please put it in the Q&A chat box. Sandeep, over to you.
Thanks, Piyu. Hi, everyone. I'm sharing my screen. Please let me know when you're able to see the screen.
It is visible.
Yes, sure. So what I'll try to do in this session is that, so Deepak spoke about different features and capabilities of MDO and different areas where MDO can help in managing the data quality or improving the data quality of your existing data. So what I'll try to do in this session is that I'll try to give you a quick overview of the solution, and just to show you how exactly we'll be able to achieve those results. So this is kind of how this login screen of the solution looks like. So we are a cloud-based solution. You can access MDO through your web browsers. You don't have to install any application or anything to access the solution. Right now, I'm logging in manually using my credentials, but we do have a single sign-on capability. So the application can be linked to your Active Directory, and all your logins can be managed through that. We support a multi-tenant environment. So you can have your QA environment, your sandbox environment, production environments, etc., segregated from each other. So tomorrow, if you are doing any configuration changes, implementing a new business rule, etc., so those can be done on your lower environments and then moved over to production post-testing. And again, I'm just going to log into one of the environments here. So this is kind of how the login screen of the solution looks like. Now, as an MDM solution, workflow management or task management is one of the key components of the solution. So here you have your task section, where you'll be able to see the list of all the tasks that are assigned to a user for their action. Now here you have your workspace. So from the inbox, I'll be able to see the list of all the tasks that have been assigned to me. I'll be able to action the tasks. Now we have different folders here. The My Request folders gives all the tasks that I have taken ownership or I have claimed that I am the one who's responsible for completing the task, etc. Now over here you have your workspaces. Now what workspace allows you to do is that it allows you to pin information that is most relevant to your role or relevant to your business into your homepage. So suppose you're somebody who is new to the organization, or you have vendors or contractors who are actually whom you're onboarding. Then you can have this kind of a workspace enabled for them so that like this is the first thing they're seeing when they're logging into the application. So you can have help links to external pages, help videos, etc., embedded into the solution so that they can quickly go through them and enable themselves from using the application. And these workspaces are role-based also. So what information is visible to a user when they're basically logging into the solution is completely configurable as per the user's role. For example, let somebody like a planner would be easily be able to see the list of all the materials that are available in the system. They can search for and change existing materials or create new materials all directly within the homepage. So it's completely configurable. Now, Deepak mentioned that MDO has out-of-the-box industry solutions available for key master data areas. So here on the left-hand side, you see some of the out-of-the-box masters or the data out-of-the-box data models that are available in MDO. So we have here, as you can see here, so we out-of-the-box data models for your materials management, your asset management, and that includes your function locations, equipments, plans, items, task list, your vendor manager, your business partners, your customers, your vendors, your finance masters, etc. Right? So we have out-of-the-box data models available for all these master data areas. Now, when we say we have out-of-the-box solutions for SAP, what we mean is that the standard SAP solution is available out of the box in MDO. So if I go into Material Master, so here you can see that the standard SAP data model, including all the hierarchies, all the SAP fields, all of that is available by default in MDO. Right? So what this and all the standard SAP business rules and the integration interfaces to connect MDO to SAP, all that's also available out of the box. Now, what it means for you as a business is that, so when you're doing an implementation, you don't have to start from scratch. So the base SAP is available with us, and you only have to configure anything which you have on top of your SAP system. Any additional business rules you want to, your workflows, so only those would have to be configured in MDO. And this essentially reduces the time to value. So if you are using an SAP system that does not have too much customization, etc., then you can be up and running with MDO in maybe a couple of weeks. Now suppose you are a business who has C fields, who has custom business rules, etc. Now, one of the key highlights of the solution is that how easy it is to configure the system as per your requirement. So it's completely a low to no code system. So let's assume that, let's say I have some C fields which I'm using. Now I want to create those fields in MDO. I come to this new field option. Now these are the different field types that are supported in MDO. Now I can pick and choose what kind of field I'm trying to create. Let's say I'm trying to create a text field. Now I can define metadata level attributes for the field. I can give a name for the field. Let's say it's a description field. Now I can control what's the field length, what should be the maximum allowed field length, whether it should only allow character, numeric input. Basically, yeah. So you can add new fields as per your requirement. You can easily control all the metadata attributes, etc. Of that field. Now, it's not just the data models that are available in MDO. So during the presentation earlier, Deepak spoke about how MDO can help support various industry standards or taxonomies, right? So MDO has a very strong taxonomy framework, which you can use to manage various taxonomies as per your requirement. So here you can see that. So this is the MDO taxonomy framework. So here you can see that, right? Various taxonomy standards, including your ISO standards, your UNSPC standards, UTD standards. So all those different taxonomy standards can basically be loaded into MDO. And these taxonomy standards can then be used in your master data management. So you'll be able to automatically generate standardized material descriptions based on your UNSPC standards, etc. So when we go further into the demo, I'll give an example of how these taxonomy standards, which are defining here, can be used for data validations, used for generating standardized spare part descriptions, etc. Now, being an MDM system, one of the key components of MDO is our business rule framework. Now, MDO supports a wide variety of business rules, but as you can see here, so these can range from simple rules like missing rules, duplicate rules, then to more complex rules like auto extension rules or user-defined rules, etc. Now, as I said, right, one of the key advantages of MDO is how easy it is to configure the system as per your requirement. Now, let's assume that you want to configure a rule with an MDO. So I can go into one of the rules here. Now I want to check, I have a rule which says that my minimal lot size should be less than my maximum lot size. So in order to configure such a rule in the solution, it can be done just through click of buttons. So you select your source field. So all the fields in this case, the material master will show up on the left-hand side. So I can pick and choose what field I want to apply the rule on. In this case, it's minimal lot size is my source field. Then I select my operator. So we have a wide variety of operators available out of the box. So I can pick and choose the operator based on what action I'm trying to perform. In this case, I'm selecting the less than operator. Then I select my target field. So it is as simple as that. Like configuring a rule is basically can be done by a business administrator, right? So going forward, the ongoing maintenance of the solution can be done by a customer business administrator with no or even minimal reliance on Prospecta or internal IT. Now, if you have more complex rules, then you can obviously keep on adding more conditions, sub-conditions, etc., and create more complex rules. You can choose whether it should be and or condition between blocks, etc. Now, one of the key advantages of MDO is that we basically allow the business to define their own error messages. Right? So I'm sure that there have been many instances in your career that like you get some kind of an error message in SAP, and then you really don't know what is causing that error, right? And then you have to go and Google the error, try to identify those how you can resolve that error from various help sites. In MDO, we allow the business to define the error messages in a way that your end users would actually understand what is wrong with the data, and you'll be able to correct those inconsistencies, right? So this is something that can be completely configurable as per your requirement, so that once you get an error, you know exactly what is wrong with the data and how to fix it. Now, once you have your business rules defined, then MDO has a MDO data quality metrics allows you to monitor or measure the quality of your data against various contexts. So for example, in this case, I want to check my overall health of my material master or my spare part master data. So I can configure a data quality metrics with a set of rules to check my overall health of my spare parts. But if I want to check how compliant my materials is with my sustainability parameters, then I can configure a data quality metrics specific to the sustainability parameters. Now, data quality metrics is nothing but a collection of rules. So you can add the rules which I've created in your data quality metrics. You can group them together into various data quality dimensions. And then you can assign weightage to each rule based on how important that rule or how the failure in that particular rule would impact the overall quality of the record. Now, once I have the data quality metrics defined, once I have all the weightages assigned to the rules, then MDO gives you data profiling reports on the quality of your data. So this is an example of a data profiling report configured on spare parts. So here MDO will tell you that, okay, based on my defined rules or my defined data quality metrics, only 58% of my data is or my 58%, this is the average compliance score of my data against that defined business rules. Now, out of my 726 spare parts, like 630 spares have at least one or more data inconsistencies, right? Then you can see how based on those data quality dimensions, right? Your data is only 18% compliant with the completeness rule which you have defined. But if you're looking at the data that's absolutely needed to make for your business, then you can see that 78% of the record has the mandate information filled or the critical information filled in, but a lot of them have some information that is good to have, but not mandatory, right? That information is not filled in for around 82% of the records. You'll be able to get these kind of insights. You can also get more insights into what are the rules which the users are able to maintain correctly, where the users are facing challenges in maintaining the data. So your most compliant rules, least compliant rules, etc. You can even get further insights into, let's say, your data quality by material group or maybe by plant, material types, etc. Yeah, and of course you can get overview reports also configured so that you'll be able to see that, okay, right, whether your data quality score is improving over time or decreasing over time, etc. Now, once I know the whole overall quality of my data, the next step is actually fixing those errors. Now I know that there are 500 records where the manufacturer is not maintained. The next step is basically looking for those records and actually correcting those inconsistencies. That's where the MDO DIW framework comes into picture. So MDO DIW framework provides a area where all the records that are inconsistent with your defined rules, those would be highlighted for the users. Now, somebody from the customer data steward, data cleansing team or data steward team, they can go and correct those inconsistencies and then send those records for an approval process and then eventual update back into the ERP system. So MDO allows you to gives you data profiling reports to get an overall health of your data, give you an idea about where you currently stand in your data quality. Then it also allows you to basically act on those inconsistencies or correct those errors and improve your data quality. Similarly, you can have duplicate check rules configured. So if you think that you have duplicates in your legacy data, then you can configure duplicate check rules on a field or on a combination of fields. So in this instance, I've done it on manufacturer part number and description. And basically, like anything that matches the duplicate criteria will get highlighted, and then somebody can go and action these duplicates. And of course, you can correct these errors one by one from the web application, or you can download all those errors into an Excel file and do mass corrections. Yeah. So that's a quick overview of how MDO can help manage your data quality. And of course, one of the key advantages here is that, so Deepak spoke that MDO can be used to manage your legacy data quality, and MDO can also be used for managing your ongoing governance, so that any new data that you create is clean and consistent with your data quality standards, right? But the key advantage of MDO here is that both the data quality framework and the master data framework, both of them are part of the same solution. So what that means for you is that all your business rules, all your integration interfaces, anything which you're defining to manage the quality of your legacy data, those same rules can be used for ongoing governance. So the rules which you're defining to check the quality of your existing data, those same rules can be leveraged to create new master data, right? So you don't have to essentially do the implementation twice. You don't have to define your rules twice, extract the data twice, right? Now, what I'll do is that I'll quickly log in as a request or a planner, I'll show you how the material request process works in MDO. I'm logging in as a requester here. So this is kind of the screen which a requester would get access to when they're logging into the system. Now let's assume that this particular user is a planner who puts in request for creation of a new spare part. Now, as a planner, I can see how many requests I've initiated, how many requests are pending, completed, etc. over here. And I can also see the list of all the spare parts that are available in MDO right from my homepage on my dashboard. Now, before I create a new material, I need to search for and see if the material I want is already existing in the system, right? So I can put in a part of the keyword, and then anything that matches that particular keyword would get highlighted here. So I can search for a material use based on the manufacturer part number, can search based on my short description, long description, etc. Right? So, and it supports a fuzzy check also. So it is really easy for the users to search for and identify what they're looking for in MDO. Now, let's say, of course, if the material is already existing within the system, then the requester can directly go and initiate a change of that material right from my home page. Now, if the material is not available in the system, then I can go ahead and request for creation of a new spare part. Now, the key advantage, as you can see here, is that, right? As an end user, I'll be able to perform all my activities, like all my day-to-day activities directly from my home page. So you don't have to navigate to 5 different screens just to request a material or put in a change request, etc. Right? Now I'm just going in and putting in a request for creation of a new material here. Now all the fields that are assigned. So let's say I'm creating a material. Now, all the fields that are assigned to this particular user, or all the fields which the requester is expected to fill in when he or she is trying to create a new material, that gets automatically loaded here. Now, one of the key advantages of MDO is that these forms can be role-based. So it's not like like in SAP where you have every user get access to all the fields, like 50 or 60 fields in the basic data, out of which I'm expected to fill in 1 or 2 fields, right? It's not like that. So the requester form can be as simple as you want to or as complex as you want to as per your requirement. So here you can see that this particular requester, he or she has access to only very minimal fields. So that they can, it's not a blocker for them. So they can quickly put in very basic information about the material and then send it along the approval process where additional departments, etc. can contribute more information for the material. Now we have an attachment functionality. So if you want to attach any quote or anything to the material, you can do that. Now, as Deepak mentioned, right? And so this is where MDO will be able to leverage the taxonomy standards. So one of the key challenges which people face in Material Master is that the material descriptions are not standardized. So this results in the same material being created with multiple descriptions, like basically duplicates being created, resulting in increase in your inventory holding costs, your increase in procurement turnaround times, etc. In MDO, we generally don't allow the users to enter the descriptions, but instead we ask them to select what material they're trying to create. Now, let's say I'm trying to create a bearing ball. As soon as I select my class, the right material group gets automatically assigned. And all the attributes of the material gets automatically populated from the taxonomy library, as you can see, which we saw earlier. Now, instead of filling in the description manually, the user just selects the specification of the material they're trying to create. Now, based on the specifications, the material short and long description gets automatically generated. Now, if you have your own taxonomy which you're currently following, then that taxonomy can definitely be loaded into MDO. Else, you can use the MDO standard taxonomy as a starting point and then leverage that or make modifications to that and then get started with your material process. Now I will start filling in some information here. Now, all the data which a user is entering is validated at the point of entry. So MDO does not allow the user to submit any inconsistent information. So here you can see that, right? So here you can see that, right? Here I have a rule which says that my net weight should be less than my gross weight. So any kind of data inconsistencies would be highlighted, and user will have to correct all the errors before they submit the request. Now we have a duplicate check framework. So in case the user is trying to create a potential duplicate material, so the duplicate check framework comes into picture, where I'll just make a change here. Right, so the duplicate check framework comes into picture, and any potential duplicate material would be highlighted. Now, so user will not be allowed to proceed with creation of the request if there are potential duplicate. They can go ahead and extend this is the existing material, so they can extend it to the required hierarchies as required. Make some change here. So that business rules to prevent creation of inconsistent data, creation of duplicate data, all of that can be configured in MDO as per your requirement. Now, once your duplicates are resolved, you can submit the request. Now all submitted requests gets sent for a workflow approval process based on the configuration. So if I check my process logs, I can see that this particular request has been triggered by this user. Now it's currently at the next step, and then there is one or two more rounds of step before that request basically goes over to your ERP. Now every workflow step in MDO has an SLA or SLA associated with it, so that users know how much time they have to complete a task, and then we can do automated notifications, reminder emails, and everything based on those SLAs. I'll just quickly log in as a reviewer just to show you the review process. So the reviewer gets the task in his or her inbox. Now I can go and action the task. So the reviewer can see the list of all the information that the requester has submitted in, make changes, or they can contribute more information as per requirement. MDO has automation rules also, as you can see here. So the material was created in 0001 plant. Now based on some automation rules, so we are basically automatically extending it to multiple plants. We are doing split valuation. Now, if you have requirements, so we can automatically create an info record, source list, your recursive bombs, production versions, right? So basically, MDO automation framework or MDO has automation rules that can be used to automatically create all your reference data, automatically manage all your auto extensions, etc., as per your requirement. Now, the user can fill in all the information. They can make changes if required and approve the request, or I can reject the request back to any of the previous steps for them to action it. We also have a very strong collaboration framework. Suppose, let's say, if I find that there is something wrong with the request, so instead of rejecting the request, I can basically chat with different stakeholders within this request itself, and then they can come in, so they'll get an email notification, they can come and reply. So instead of rejecting the request, basically any kind of discussions you want to have against this particular request before you approve it, you can do that within the request itself before you're approving it. So this is something which a lot of our customers are using to reduce the recycle rates, right? Or recycle rate of requests. When you're rejecting it, you just have your discussion against the material directly in MDO. And this is always kept as reference also, right? So tomorrow, if you want to see what was discussed before this material was approved, then you can always come back to and see the change. Yeah. So what we have seen so far is how MDO can be used to create materials one by one. We have a mass interface also for MDO. So in case if you want to mass create materials or mass change materials, so we have an Excel interface of MDO for that. So we call it Excel Connect. So this is an Excel sheet with an MDO plugin installed in it. So you can log into this Excel sheet using a web application credentials, or even single sign-on can be enabled here. Now, once I log into this Excel, I get access to all the flows that are defined in the web application. Now I can select what I'm trying to do. So once I do that, all the fields that are assigned to me, my role gets automatically loaded, and then I can start maintaining the data. So you're still within MDO, even though you're leveraging this Excel capabilities to create the data. So as you can see, right, all your drop-down values, everything which you're defining in the web application works in this Excel. So you're not losing out on any MDO functionality, even though you're leveraging your Excel interface to mass process data. So the left-hand side is a normal Excel file so that you can leverage all the Excel capabilities like drag and drop, copy, paste, etc. to quickly create data. And right-hand side, you get all the MDO functionalities like all the drop-downs, all the default settings, business rules, everything. So the key difference between this tool, even the attachments can be added into this Excel, as you can see here. Yeah. Now the key difference between this Excel file and a normal ETL tool is that this is an Excel sheet with validation. So once you fill in all the data, you can click on validate, and then this will validate if there are any data quality errors that would get highlighted in this Excel. And even the description generation functionality, right, to leverage the taxonomy to automatically generate the descriptions. So even that will work in this Excel. So basically I can, even within this Excel, I can start maintaining the material specifications. And based on the specifications, you can see that I click on generate description and my material short and long description gets automatically generated. And then, as I said, right, once you fill in the data, now you click on validate, and this basically validates the data against all the defined data quality rules. And as opposed to a normal ETL tool, like if you have data quality errors, mandatory information missing, or any other errors, so all those errors would be highlighted within this Excel itself. And users will not be allowed to proceed with submitting the request until and unless all the error inconsistencies are corrected. Yeah. And of course, once the data is submitted, it again goes for the approval process. And after the final approval, the data gets integrated over to the ERP. Yeah, I think that's a quick overview from my side on different capabilities of MDO, how MDO can be used to manage your legacy data quality, your duplicates in your legacy data, and other inconsistencies, and then how you can use MDO for ongoing governance of your new master data requests. I think I'll stop sharing now and then leave it open to questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sandeep. Thank you, Deepak. This was a very insightful presentation as well as demonstration. There are quite a lot of questions which have come in, and I can see a lot of interest in how MDO aligns with international standards. There are at least 3 questions which have come in for that. So Deepak, I'll take those first. And in the interest of time, we will try and address the questions related to spares and answer the rest of your questions on the chat. Because we have about 7 minutes to answer all your questions. So we have a question, Deepak, on how we can differentiate between standard taxonomies like ISO and PIDEX within MDO, and which standard are we maintaining in Connect Hub?
Yeah, I mean, so in MDO, you will have the flexibility to maintain different standards. So as Sandeep showed that classification view, wherein you can see different standards that has been maintained for the taxonomy, like you have the ISO 14224, you can similarly maintain the UNSPC. But obviously, I mean, for a particular client, they will be only aligning to a particular standard, right? So let's say if it's a oil and gas or a petrochemical company, then they will align more towards the PIDEX standards. If it's a FMCG or a e-commerce company, then they will have more, they will align more on the UNSPSC. So the framework is there in MDO to maintain any standard taxonomies. And the second part of the question is that what standard we are maintaining in the Connect Hub data. So now when it comes to the Connect Hub data, what we are doing is we are listing down all the unique classes that we can get out of all the standards that we have. So let's say we have a list of classes for the oil and gas or a petrochemical industry. Similarly, so for those classes, we mentioned that, okay, these are the classes aligned to the PIDEX standard. So we have a separate column for maintaining the standard name as well. So let's say if it's a PIDEX or a UNSPSC or what it is. Apart from that, we also have a standard column to maintain the industry domain as well. So let's say we have certain classes for the FMCG industry. We have certain classes for metal mining or oil and gas industry. So that differentiation we are maintaining it in the repository in different fields. And when it comes to MDO, you can maintain any of these standards.
Thanks, Deepak. I think that also answers a couple of more questions. Just that there's one which asks that if a client uses or follows a different industry standard other than what we are currently providing, are we able to add it, or we only provide from what we support?
Yeah. So that's optional for any of our clients. I mean, if they are already having some taxonomy standards in place and they want to use that only for their governance or cleaning processes, then MDO provides that framework and they can upload their own taxonomy, their own standards, and they can start using. So that's the beauty of the platform. So it's a very low code, no code platform. So you can load all of your standards in the platform. Not only it's not necessary that you need to align to only our industry standards, which we are maintaining. If you want to maintain your own standard, your own taxonomy structure, then you can maintain it in MDO. So there is no restriction, I mean, to answer the question.
Thank you so much, Deepak. Also one educational question, which says that, can you explain how material groups and material classes differ in terms of their purpose and level of granularity in categorizing materials?
Yeah, I mean, so SAP provides the, sorry. So SAP provides the functionality to maintain material groups and material classes separately. So it has a very narrow difference in the sense that you can go much more granular when it comes to material classes, because that's where you can maintain the characteristics and other classification data. And when it comes to material groups, they are more towards the high level categorization of the part. So let's say the best industry practice is to maintain those, let's say, UNSPSC codes in those material groups. So that's the industry standard which many organization follows. So they maintain the UNSPSC codes in the material groups, but they assign the more granular material class to their parts and the associated attributes to their parts. So both are used for categorization, but material group is more of a high level categorization, I would say. And then material class is more granular nature.
Thanks, Deepak. We are just 2 minutes away from the closure of the session, and there are at least 12 questions which are still to be addressed. So we would be answering your questions within the chat, and maybe we can have a quick follow-up session with the experts if required, if you want to understand things, because Sandeep, I think there are a couple of questions on integration, particularly integration, interface that we are using and whether it is able to integrate to any other. So these may be standard answers that we have already. So we can provide the standard answers within the chat. And if need be, we can, get on a call later to explain in depth if more details are required. Yeah, I'll stop here because we're just a minute away from the webinar's closing. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining, and especially thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Deepak, for that very, very insightful session. And it has been wonderful to see such engagement because the chatbot has been active. So to quickly recap, we have covered the common challenges in spare part inventory management. We have also covered covered how MDO helps to standardize taxonomy and align with international standards. We have also understood a very interesting case study to see how exactly MDO for spares solution has been implemented. We have seen a live demonstration of how the solution works in practice. As next steps, if you are interested in learning more about MDO for spares or would like to request a personalized demo, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our contact information is available on LinkedIn, where we will be posting this video as well. And any other material with regards to MDO for spares, if you want to reach out to us, please do so. Once again, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you in the future webinars. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.